Anycubic has released a massive, fully enclosed 3D printer, the Anycubic Kobra S1 Max. We'll talk about the size, temperatures, power consumption, speed, noise, maintenance, and monitoring. Then we'll finish with how this printer is unique, and I'll give my recommendation. The Anycubic Kobra S1 Max is the largest, fully enclosed, heated, colored 3D printer that I own. It comes with an active chamber heater that can heat up the chamber up to 65 degrees. And when I say large, the print volume is 350 millimeters cubed. That's so big. In just a little bit, we're going to print something from Star Wars, print it as big as it can go, and you'll see that this is just a massive printer. I had the most difficult time unboxing this printer. I opened the lid, I pulled, I tugged, I did everything I could to try and lift this printer out without suctioning to the box. Eventually, I laid it on its side and just pulled it out. Once I got it out, I picked up the box, went to recycle it, and I realized something. There's instructions on the box to simply pull this bottom tab, which will rip off the top portion and allow you to easily take the printer out. Sometimes I get so excited when I get a new toy, I forget about the instructions and I just dive in. This is a mistake I keep on making. So read the instructions. Do as I say, not as I do. Once it's out of the box, setup is really simple. You gut the insides, attach the filament hub on the back, attach the 4 tubes to the hub and to the color engine, and turn on the printer. The S1 Max calibrates everything you'd normally see on a 3D printer today, like temperatures, vibration, and bed leveling. But something I haven't seen other printers do, with exception to Bamboo Lab, is noise canceling, and it makes a huge difference. This printer calibrates the noise, and when we get to the noise section, you'll see just how quiet it runs. Like I said, most printer companies don't do that yet, so it's really nice that this could do noise calibration. Noise. I gotta get out more. The S1 Max comes with a high temperature nozzle coming in at 350 degrees Celsius, and it's a hardened steel nozzle, much like you're seeing today. The S1 Max also comes with a color engine. It's called the Anycubic Color Engine 2 Pro. It's called the 2 because it's the second version. There was a Generation 1, I have a couple of them, and I have to tell you, this second version is so much better. First off, it comes with 4 independent brushless motors, which allows each filament to come in and out independently. We recently made a video where we compared the Anycubic Kobra 3V2 to the Anycubic Kobra X, and the 3V2 was using the Gen 1 ACE Pro, and it kept having issues where 2 filaments were feeding in at the same time. Thanks to the 4 independent motors, I haven't seen that issue with this printer. Another upgrade are these valves on the back. These are solenoid valves. While it's heating up and dehumidifying, it'll bring in dry air and push out the hot, humid, moist, yucky air that's inside the chamber. Moist. I hate that word. Just like the Generation 1, this enables drying while printing, and it ranges from 35 degrees to 65 degrees Celsius. You could take 4 of these and hook them all to the S1 Max, giving you 16 colors total. I don't know who would print with 16 colors, that's a lot of purging, but it's an option. Another upgrade to the Anycubic Color Engine 2 Pro is the ability to see the real-time temperature and humidity levels from the screen. I can also see it on my phone and on the computer. The last thing I'll mention, which is a big upgrade, and I've only seen this with Bamboo Lab, is the ability to identify how much filament is left when you're using Anycubic filament with the RFID chip. For example, these 2 white Anycubic filaments both have RFID chips. When I placed them in the ACE 2 Pro, they automatically detected the color, and you can see the left one has just a little bit more filament than the right one, and it shows on the display screen, which is really cool and actually very accurate from what I can tell. Now there's one thing the ACE 2 Pro struggles with, and we'll talk about that when we get to the cons with this printer. Let's start our first test print where we'll look at the power consumption. With power consumption, we'll look at 3 things: the power the printer takes when it's just idling, the peak power when it's heating up that bed, and the average power while it's printing different items. With idling, the S1 Max comes in at 4 watts. That is the lowest I've ever seen. The Anycubic X came in at 5 watts, But this massive machine is even lower than the X. As it was heating up the bed, it peaked at 435 watts, and the average printing for the S1 Max is about 185 watts when you're printing with a bed at 65 degrees and you're printing PLA. We also have the ACE 2 Pro. That came in at 2.3 watts idling, 233 watts at the peak, and an average of 71 watts when it's heating up to 60 degrees Celsius. The print just finished. Now, one thing I want to mention about every Anycubic bed is how easy these are to pull off. In fact, they just fall off the bed when it's done printing. As the bed cools, the parts literally just pop off. Now, one problem with that is sometimes the adhesion isn't good enough even when printing, and you'll see that when we get to our next test. These parts came out looking so good, I have no complaints. The quality is perfect, the tolerance is exactly what you want. These go on the bottom of a magnet dispenser. We use them to put magnets in the hands of these cats, and these go on a bath bomb for kids that want to get a BFF cat and give one to a friend. They love them so much. I'm not sure if they'll be available when you see this video, but I'll put a link down below just in case. Now let's move on to speed. I want to see how long it takes to calibrate before the print actually starts. Then we'll look at purge times. What's the longest purge time switching from one color to the next? What's the shortest purge time? And then we'll see how long it takes to print something. Now we're gonna go big, and we're gonna print this massive Baby Yoda as big as it can go. I know his name's not Baby Yoda, it's Grogu. But Grogu sounds like something that's like stuck in your throat. So we're gonna start with this Grogu, or Baby Yoda, and see if we can get a successful print. Now this thing's going to take 90 hours. It will be the largest multicolor print and the longest multicolor print I've ever done. Because it will take so many days, and I know Anycubic beds aren't the best with adhesion, no offense, that's just the facts, I'm going to add a massive brim at the bottom in case we need to put tape down or maybe throw some magnets on them. But we'll see, fingers crossed that's not the case. From the time I clicked print to the time that the printer started printing the actual part, it took about 12 minutes and 52 seconds. What happened during that time? Well, we had flow calibration, I think there was a little resonance calibration, and then we also had bed leveling. The longest part was waiting for the bed to heat up to 65 degrees, let it do its leveling, and then it had to come down to 55 degrees to start the print. I don't know why it took so long. That process could probably be sped up if I just put everything to the same temperature, so it's not waiting for things to heat up and cool down. When it comes to how fast or slow this can purge out different colors, the longest purge was when it went from a darker color to a lighter color, coming in at 3 minutes and 13 seconds. And then the shortest one, going from a light color to a dark color, was 2 minutes and 22 seconds. That feels like a long time, especially when it's doing that 2 or 3 times per layer throughout most of the print, which explains why this massive print is taking 90 hours to complete. While that's printing, let's talk a little bit about the noise. From 30 feet away, the S1 Max comes in at 40 dB. That is pretty quiet. We've tested other printers that have come in at much higher than 40. At 10 feet away, the Max comes in at 46 dB, and up close, the Max comes in at 51 dB. That's one of the most quiet printers I've ever heard. 51 dB sounds like a quiet fan. It's something I could have sitting next to me while I'm on calls, or I could even have it in the same room while I'm filming a video like this. One of the reasons this thing is so quiet is they've done a really good job sealing everything together. It's got a glass door that's nice and thick, and that noise calibration really helps with the motors not whining, not making loud high-pitched noises. It's just very quiet. The baby Grogu just finished at 90 hours. That's such a long print. But it's not perfect. Let's go check it out. While this was printing, the support for the left hand fell off the bed. Luckily, the AI monitoring caught it. I wasn't even at the house at the time. When I got home, I glued that support back on the bed, then added some tape and magnets to the rest of the print just to make sure nothing else falls off the bed. Despite his hand not looking so great, this guy looks amazing. The quality is so good, I even bumped the layers up a little bit. I think it's at 2.8, but even at 2.8 with 90 hours, this thing looks awesome. And he's basically life size. Look at him. He's like a real baby Yoda, Grogu, whatever you want to call him, but he is awesome. And now he's my little buddy. Grogu, do you see what he's doing? How are you doing that? Oh. Not only is this baby Grogu huge, but he took a ton of filament. Just the weight of Grogu comes in at 903 grams. That's a lot of weight for one print. In addition to that, we had a lot of waste coming in at 327 grams, and that doesn't include support material. So I will take this waste, pour it in my bucket perfectly without spilling anything, and set that aside so we can re-spool that eventually. Now let's talk about maintenance. The S1 Max is super easy to clean. The front doesn't have a lip, so you can easily sweep stuff out of the printer. It does have a groove over here on the sides, but it's not that deep and it hasn't been a problem for me. Something I want to mention, this is a pre-released printer. I don't know if your printer will look exactly like this, but with the two auxiliary fans, you can see at the bottom there's some light coming through. That's a tiny gap. I don't know if your printer will have that. If I were printing abrasive materials and things like ABS with toxic chemicals, I'd probably want to seal those off just to make sure it's using the internal filtration system and I'm not breathing in those chemicals. Now let's talk about nozzle change. This thing has something I've never seen before. To change the nozzle, you first pull off the front plate of the print head. Thank you, Anycubic, for not having a fan on that front plate with a wire. It's nice to just pull it off and put it aside and not have to worry about connecting or detaching any wires. The second step is to remove the silicone sleeve, and then you unclip this one clip. Now watch this. The heatsink is spring loaded. You can open it up and pull the nozzle out. I've never seen that before. I'm actually shocked that that works so well. I thought you'd need a tighter contact between the nozzle sleeve and the heatsink, but we just did a 90-hour print successfully, so that's pretty cool. This nozzle is so small and so compact, I imagine it won't be too expensive to replace. Putting it back in is just as easy. You slide it up, put the clip on, put on the silicone sleeve, and then reattach the front plate. When it comes to switching out filament, that's really easy too. When you want to add filament, you just put it in and it'll automatically start winding it through. And then to remove filament, you can either do it from the screen where you select remove, or you could push this lever and pull it out manually. And the last thing to say about maintenance is removing and placing the bed. This is one of the easiest beds to remove and place back in. There's two nubs at the back. You just slide it in till it hits those knobs and then place it down. The Kobra S1, the Kobra X, they both have the same bed layout and it's really nice and simple. Before we move to the next test, this is one of many videos we're making where we compare all these different things: power consumption, speed, noise, just being able to understand the printer, giving you the facts so you can make an educated decision on which printer to go with. If you like this format and you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing. If there are things that we didn't talk about that you'd like to see in the next video, please drop a comment down below. Now let's talk about monitoring. When we pull up the live camera feed on the app, it's about 20 to 25 frames per second if we're lucky. I've seen better, I've definitely seen worse, but this gives you an idea of how the print is doing. If you're on a business trip or away from the printer, you can easily pull up your phone or your computer and view the live monitoring and see if it's doing well. And as far as AI detection goes, it actually worked. Thanks to AI detection, it paused my print before things got worse. I was able to do some maintenance and get the print going again. And besides this tiny small line you could barely even see, no one would ever know that this print had a fail, as long as they don't look at the left hand. But can you imagine if the AI detection wasn't working or wasn't included and I was gone from my house for 4 days and this just pushed out 1.5 kilograms of filament into a massive blob or big spaghetti? That would just be terrible. So the AI monitoring works, and I'm very grateful for that. Something else that's an upgrade from the Anycubic Kobra S1 are the lights. They have lights on both sides. It really gives a better picture, and it does help with AI monitoring. We just finished looking at the power consumption, speed, noise, maintenance, and monitoring. Now let's talk about what makes this printer unique and we'll talk about some of the issues that I've had. Before we do that, I want to thank all the YouTube paid members. As a member, they get early access to videos. They get access to videos we don't release to the public. If you're not a member yet and you'd like to join, go ahead and click this button. One of the first things I noticed about this printer that makes it unique is it comes with 2 auxiliary fans. There's one on the left and there's one on the right. This is especially important for a print like Grogu that has a lot of overhangs. It's a massive print. If we just had an auxiliary fan on the left side, it wouldn't push the air over to the right where it needs it, and vice versa. If it was just on the right side, it wouldn't get the air on the left. The print would be too big, it would block most of that airflow. And with PLA and bridging, you need that airflow to cool things down as it's printing so it doesn't have any sagging. One other thing to mention with these auxiliary fans is they pull in the air from the outside. It comes in through the bottom handles on the left and right, and it brings in that cool air to push cool air instead of recirculating the air already in the chamber. The S1 Max comes with an Ethernet plug. I don't know if that's used very often, but for those who really want a plug, just know it comes with one. This printer comes with upgraded 1.5 GT belts. What the heck does that mean? Basically, when it comes to vertical fine artifacts, which are those lines that you see on a print, having a 1.5 GT belt means the teeth are smaller on the belt, and that helps with getting rid of those vertical fine artifacts. We already talked about the unique nozzle with the heatsink flap, but something I haven't mentioned yet is out of all of the Core XY folding closed printers, this is the first one where I don't need something going around the back to catch the poop. It poops out the side. Having a poop chute coming out the side makes it so much easier to catch the poop, the waste, the purge, whatever you want to call it. Thank you, Anycubic, for giving us a side pooper, not a back pooper. That sounds kind of weird. Now let's talk about the cons. The first one is the bed adhesion. I believe they use the same type of material for each of their beds, and the adhesion just isn't as good as other build plates. This isn't the worst thing in the world. You just have to bump your temperature up a little more, and it's really nice when a print finishes, it just falls off. You just pull it off the bed. But it's something to keep in mind. If you know you're doing a bigger print, make sure you put a bigger brim, turn up the heat a little bit, and you should be good. The next thing is the placement of the filament cutter. It's in the front right side. That's also where the camera is. Just like you're seeing in this video, as we're watching the print head goes to the front right, blocking the view of the camera, and it just seems like a far distance to go when it's printing in a different spot. Maybe in the future they'll put it next to the poop chute like I've seen in the past, but that's just something to keep in mind. It's not a deal breaker, it just has to travel a little more. And it covers the camera view every once in a while. The last 2 things to mention are with the ACE 2 Pro. First off, it doesn't like cardboard. This isn't the first color engine that I've seen that doesn't do well with cardboard. Other ones struggle with it as well, but there's a fix for that. All you have to do is print off this small rim. The print took less than 30 minutes, and it makes the spool spin a lot better. Without that, you can see it just doesn't spin that well. I'm not sure why, but it just doesn't work as good. The last thing I'll mention is this plastic piece at the top. On the 3rd spool of filament, it kept rubbing into it, making that spool unable to spin. I don't know if this is just because it's not an Anycubic spool. Maybe if I had all Anycubic, it would work better. I didn't want to deal with this, so I just opened the lid. The problem with that is it defeats the purpose to dry while printing. The permanent fix is to remove that part at the top. It seems to do fine without it, and now I can close this and not have anything rubbing. It has been a blast playing around with this printer. We've also printed eggshells, and we have so many other things we want to print. If you're interested in getting a printer that's below $1,000 US, I'll drop a link down below. If you use that link, you'll also get 10% off, making this thing even cheaper. I know, you're welcome. If that's still outside of your budget and you don't need something so big, take a look at this video.